Hey, and good morning, and good afternoon, and good night. It's February 24th. It's a delicious recipe, and guess what we got going on there today? It said, I have to go looking at the notes because I had this all written down and I had it all there. A big, huge presentation, anyways, for this. But this is almost like a Back to the Future episode. And the part about it being is, um, what would you do if you had all the knowledge you have now and you started up growing up at like kindergarten age or 2, 3 years old and stuff like that? Would you change your life and who would you want to be with? And I got a bunch of stuff there. If you could go back to your youth, knowing what you know now, where you go? Would you do anything different? Maybe learned a skill? Actually, maybe learned an instrument? Maybe done something different? But would you exist knowing what you know now? And would you still be with the people that you are now? And that's sort of an interesting question because this sort of goes into this butterfly effect. And uh, I guess the part about it says, okay, would you change anything, or would you just sort of exist? And for me, and this is Laura Lee Potvin here, my other half, because she's coming on here. She's going to be the first one there to go and talk about this. And I'm just looking at myself there, and we've had discussions about this before, and she knows some things that I would do maybe differently, but I would never want to change a lot of things. There's some parts that I would like to change, but the experience that I had, I think they're all growing experiences. But I'll let Laura Lee there go on hers.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. I'm the host on this network of UPRN with the Angel Rock on Monday nights. And many of you know I'm also a clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic records practitioner, basically a spiritual teacher, mentor. I'm also a nurse. And yeah, we have had this topic many times that we've discussed off air. And part of my message of what I share with people when I'm mentoring them or teaching with them, I never tell people what to do, but I think we have to embrace it all. We have to embrace the good, the bad, the ugly, the
There we
lessons
go.
that we've learned. Because I think you touched on an important point when you said about the butterfly effect. Because if we change one thing, it has numerous ripples all across. Hey, Dave, happy early birthday, Dave Petrella. Dave's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Dave. He's been on my show, Dell's show, and he's an
Yep.
amazing astrologer, and it's his birthday tomorrow. So we're wishing him early happy birthday. Um, Anyways, back to this. That I think we've seen, how many even movies have we seen, not based on real life, but the topic is definitely out there. People have discovered it. And, yeah, like you asked me this morning, I hurt my back as a nurse. Seriously, I can't go back. If I knew
Yep.
what I know now, would I have still gone forward on the path that I am? Yeah, I would, because my plan was to become a doctor. And, would I have met you? I mean, I've known you my whole life, but would we be together? Would I still be married to my first husband? Would I have my second child if I hadn't fallen through that hole? Because I only had a baby at the time, my first son. Um, would I be doing what I'm doing now? More than likely not. And all the things I've learned from all the things I've gone through, including as a nurse working a lot in palliative care, and most people that were terminal, I can tell you probably about 95% of adults all had regrets. They had regrets about things that they hadn't done, things that they were waiting for that day when either it was I lost that final 30 pounds, I had enough money, I had whatever. And none of it was ever, I wish I'd made more money. I wish I had known what I know now and could go back. Nobody was about that. It was like telling people that you love, that you told them more, that you love them more. Hey, Jeannie from the UK, welcome. It was also
I'll put them up there when they come up in there. Don't
okay. Well,
worry.
I'm still going to say hello because I know them. They support my show
Yeah.
too, so I'm going to say hello. Anyways, getting back to that, the things that people talked about were wishing the people that they had around them that they let them know how much they meant to them, how much they loved them. And again, I think we have to embrace it all because if we want to change one thing, I think it depends on how you look at life. If you look at the glass half full or half empty, because
Hmm.
you can take what you learn from, say, maybe somebody's biggest mistake or worst thing that happened in life. And I have found,
Okay.
at least in my own personal life, I'm going to
So
add,
this
go
is a
ahead.
question because I know you very deeply, and the thing is, so would you, if you knew back then, would you have walked out the front door
Yes, I told you I would have done all of it because it's,
and broken your back? And you just would.
yes,
Okay. Well,
because
that's
I knew if I knew what I know now, going back and where I was headed, yes, I wouldn't have changed a thing. I just said that because I could be on a completely different path, doing something completely different. I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. And again, it's just repeating everything. No, I wouldn't change a thing. No, Jeannie says hers is paused. I don't know if you're having the same problem on Facebook that we had on my show Monday night, Dell, but
yeah.
I'm
No,
not based.
we're getting pauses all across there through one, two, three here. So you
Okay,
just
well,
bear with it. You're still going to hear everything there.
or Jeannie,
Period.
come on over to to YouTube on the UFO Paranormal Radio channel, because I know I can't go live on Facebook. I think it's because of a certain person I made a phone call to live on their show, that may have caused it. I'm not sure,
Oh, jeez.
but it,
No, it's.
and anyways, would I change anything? No. That's where I
Mhm.
was going with this. I've lost my train of thought. It was something important there, but no, I'm not. I wouldn't change anything.
You know what the weirdest thing is going to be here for this whole show is that I know is that I was probably supposed to send links, and because I know Sean Kelly's probably not going to get a link, and even though they're all hosting the show and everybody's all hosting the show, there's one that's 7:20, and it was like, and this is going to be an interesting show.
Well,
It
you
didn't work out
see,
as good as it was, so I wrote
yeah.
them all down.
Well, I can do that when the other person, well, if the other person doesn't come on, either I can do it or you can do it. We can send them a link, but or they'll
because
message you and tell you they need a link. So,
Michelle
um,
DeRoche is at 7:20, and then
Michelle knows how to get on here. You don't have to worry
yeah,
about Michelle. Michelle will be fine. And if somebody needs a link, they'll send you a message saying you need a link.
yeah.
So, anyways, would I change anything? No.
So anybody out there that's listening there, and think it says this is the part that because this what the whole thing that I woke up in the dream, and it's, if I can write, I hit this written down, or no, maybe I did this on my phone, which I'm doing on here, and it was like, uh, would I change anything? What little buttons or things that I would change? And for myself, there's not a lot because, like, you know what? I enjoyed the strap. I enjoyed getting beaten by breaking wooden spoons on my back because it allowed me to go on trips that I wouldn't have there when I was little, and it allowed me to actually sort of understand how authority works, and that when I was grounded, and as soon as the day that I was ungrounded, I ran out for adventure, and adventure was kept me doing things. And I think that's part of the part that I do this show is that um, I'm always looking for adventure and finding new things. And I think that's the part there because I see that in my younger siblings, they're so stagnated into their life, and we talked about this lots there, Laura. It's about being in a bubble, that you don't go out of a bubble, right?
Well, I think that's where I was going with the point was now I remember was when I look at myself, when I look back at some of the things that seemed the worst things that ever happened, they were horrific. And everybody's had times like
Mm-hmm.
that. When you look back on it again, I think it's how you are, whether you're a half glass full or half glass empty type of person. Now, I have realized looking back that it's made room for bigger and better things in my life. And it's the same thing that I think it depends on the type of person you are. If you're the person that's kind of comfortable with status quo in your little bubble, you just sort of go along, you think you're here by accident, you think that you go to work from 9 to 5, you come home and you do what's expected of you. You watch the evening news and that's all you do. You don't ask the question why. You don't get that. You don't follow the urge to question or experience or go on adventures. You tend to stay with status quo of what's expected by society of you. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not pointing a finger. But what I'm saying is that some people feel more comfortable that way, and some people like the other side of the coin, if you will. They're willing to question. They're willing to go on adventures. They're willing to not always have the answers. Jump before you know there's a net or not. And I always say the net will always appear when you jump, but not everybody looks at life that way.
Hmm. Yes. Well, that's really interesting. Well, that's not interesting, but no, that's we've talked about this so many times about people being in their bubble, not looking out for adventure, and not seeing what else is around their surroundings. And I think that's the big thing that we're seeing here through Canada and stuff like that. But getting back to the point is that what did you want to be as you were younger?
A veterinarian. And I decided I wouldn't do it when I was a little bit older because I love animals and I hate seeing children or animals in pain. So I decided against it. I wanted to be a lawyer, and there was no law school where we lived at the time. And I was obviously going to need some financial assistance with it. And it was not going to come from my parental units. And my parents made too much money to get student loans. So I ended up staying here and becoming a nurse. And I have no regrets about that. Taught me many life lessons, many.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know about that. We go in the whole story about when I talked about one time they're at in the kitchen there and well, we won't go there
Okay.
if you want to
No,
anyway.
I have no idea what you're talking about and don't want to go
Oh,
there. If we don't
I
want to go
was
there, we don't want to go there. We don't need to.
what I was talking about. It says yes. I said, well, I'm the first male lessee, and
Oh, that story. Well, it's not really gonna, would I change that? Okay, well, now we got to tell people what it means. Okay, Dell and I have the same aunt and uncle through marriage. We're kind of like the second version. I've known Dell my whole life
we're related through a marriage, but we're not related.
through blood. So what
Yes.
happened was my aunt and uncle, who are his aunt and uncle, live 3 doors away. And I'm 5 years older than Dell. And Dell's family was in from Toronto, and we were sitting in my aunt and uncle's kitchen as the adults were sitting in the
Partying.
dining room.
Yes.
And what happened was Dell repeated what he did, and my cousins are adopted, whom we both love very dearly. And let's just say my mother came around the
Oh,
corner.
I love Sharon. I love Michael. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I grew up with them like brothers and sisters 3 doors away. So my mother decided that it was myself that had said this. And let's just say it wasn't very pretty what happened around the corner to me. Even though I insisted that it was not me, I got brought home at about the age of 11 or 12 and
It's a
grounded
sense
for,
of,
I think, a month. And to this day, I think my parents still believe it was me that said it.
okay.
But who said it, Dell?
Well, it was me. Yes, that's true.
Yes. Mhm. But
Okay.
you know what? I remember the first day you showed up on my doorstep as a friend. I was teaching you some technology stuff. You just moved from out at your cottage, and the house had
Yep.
been sold. And I was showing you some technology things. And as you showed up at the door, the first thing
Yep.
I said to him was, I don't have very great memories of you as a child. He hung out more with my brother. But the whole point is,
Well,
right?
yeah, because well, your brother knew that says, oh, and your mother said the Lessee boys stay away from them.
No, I don't remember that, but my brother might have said that. But what I do know is that because of that, right? Like,
Well, because we all played music, right?
I know,
My
but
yeah,
because of that, we were together. Like I said, you could look at that and I could live up and go on and on about it as an 11 or 12-year-old.
yeah.
I'm 56 years old. It's something that happened. It's part of who made me who I was or who I am, including as a parent. I always swore I would never ever do that to my own children, and I've never ever done that. So, like I say, out of really awful things that happen, we have the choice to decide what we do with those, is what I'm trying to say. So, we
Okay,
can look back with regrets and wish we could change things, or we can embrace it all because it makes you who you are today.
awesome. That's very good words. Okay, so next step we're supposed to have Michelle DeRozier. I don't I forgot to send out things there. Can
I
you do
don't think
that?
she needs a link, but I'll send it while you're talking. So, hang
Okay,
on.
so Michelle, and then we have also Sean Kelly at 7:40 and Amelia Pisano at
Oh, see, there's
7:50.
Michelle right there. I
Oh,
told
there
you
she
she
is.
wouldn't need a
Awesome.
link.
There she goes. We'll invite her in there.
I knew she wouldn't need a
Michelle
link.
at the stream.
Hi, Michelle.
Good.
Hey, how are
Hey, how you
you?
doing?
Good.
Good. I'm just removing all your bots.
How you?
Thank you.
Awesome.
Because these ones
Busy
show
on
up all
YouTube.
the time, all the time. And I used to have it on the old channel admin privileges where I could do that, but I don't have it anymore. So thank you with
It's
the
no
new one.
problem.
Okay. So Laura Lee will just put you in the bottom here for a bit, and
Yep. How about
how do
I'll
we
duck
do?
out, Michelle will move up, and then
Okay.
I will duck back in. I'll send that link,
Okay.
okay?
Okie doke.
Perfect. So the night is going on. So Michelle DeRozier, if you could go back to your youth, knowing what you know now, where would
Mm,
you go? Would you do anything different? Maybe learned a skill? Maybe gone somewhere different? Would you exist knowing what you know there to be now?
I'm very fortunate. I mean, there's definitely things that I wish I would have done differently.
Hmm.
Um, I've had a pretty good, rich life. I've traveled, I've educated myself, I've lived a life that many people would probably envy in some ways. And with that being said, for a long time, I mean, I worked in the modeling industry, I traveled, I basically um, had a lot of friends who, were very famous musicians. And at one point, I thought to myself, I would love to get into music production.
Hmm.
And really researched it, looked into it, and I wish I would have done it. But,
Can you
I had
sing?
this. I'm sorry?
Can you
No.
sing?
Well,
Can
some
you
people
play?
say I
Can you
can.
play?
I don't really like to subject people to it, but but some people think,
No,
"Oh,
you
yeah,
say
you
because
sing really
I'm
well."
very musical. Like I've from birth I've musical. Like I play a lot of string instruments and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and my whole family's been like that. But do you play
yeah.
anything at all, or you just
Uh,
love the music?
yeah, I really, what? I dabbled in piano a little bit.
Oh,
I,
did you?
I don't
Awesome.
really drums. I could do drums.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's musical.
It was a favor. Yeah, it was a favored instrument at that time. But realistically, I was
Isn't
always more interested in behind the scenes and the production of it, much like I do with television now.
See, everybody says never knock the drums. The drums are the backbeat of all rhythm, besides
Yeah,
the bass. And then, like, everybody thinks like those people that are off the side, like the guitarist and the lead singer. Yes, great faces and stuff like that, but without
yeah,
them, no music is done.
it's true. It's true. I just liked it. It was just an energetic instrument. I had a
Yep.
neighbor who was a drummer and said, "Oh, I'll teach you." And she was a chick, which was really cool. She was a lady, right? And I'm thinking, "Oh, this is great." So, but I never went through it, because I had this really jealous musician boyfriend at the time, and he's like, "You can't
Right.
get into that. Like, what the heck? You meet all these people which I already knew, but it was like, okay." And just being younger, I decided, no, I'm not going to do it. And I stuck to the modeling, and I traveled, and so all in all, for the most part, I wish I wouldn't have been such a rebellious teen. I wish I would have just stuck to the books a little bit more. But I think I make up with it now because I'm known for really digging and researching and being knowledgeable. So I think it was a delayed thing, but I'm sort of a natural researcher. I wish I just would have applied it better in my youth.
Did you actually? Here's a good thing because with your show and all the stuff you do there, while you were doing thinking about doing music, did you see any paranormal stuff in the beginning that drove you that way? Maybe because this is the whole part there. If you could change anything and saw things now, looking back then, right,
Mhm.
with all the information you have now, would you have noticed that, and maybe that might have drawn you to the position you are today?
Um,
I'm changing the whole scope of this whole thing. I'm going to
that's
change it
okay.
all the way
That's
through.
okay.
Yeah.
Believe me, I saw dead things from pretty early on, so I was
Okay.
well aware of the presence. But there wasn't
Hmm.
internet back then, so I'm aging myself a little bit. But um, I did take it upon myself to read books and to learn as much as I could, considering. And the way I did that was just, there weren't paranormal books on average. I mean, except, I got my hands on a copy of The Demonologist by Ed Lorraine Warren, which really educated me um, when I got that. But the closest thing you could get back then was witchcraft and cleansings. So I learned how to just keep my environment cleansed, and that helped a lot. And I learned about um, mindset very early on. And it's something that I still carry into modern times, and it's still something I teach people.
So this is the part there. If you know all the information you have right now, growing up, how would that have changed you going forward?
Um, I don't know if it would have changed me per se, because my life went pretty much in a direction that I wanted it to go. I mean, would I
Would you
change a
have met
few
the same
things?
people? Would you
Um,
done the same things, or you would have went this way and not met this person because you went that direction?
I would have changed some of the people that I dealt with in this field. Let's put it
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
Without incriminating myself or anybody else. But I think that,
Hmm.
yes, I would have made a couple of changes. The knowledge itself for me, I think it was a path I've always been meant to
Hmm.
travel. I enjoy doing television. I wish I would have known a little bit more about television, because realistically, knowing what I know now, like I said, you can give, five answers to
Hmm.
one question. I think,
Hmm.
I just would have gotten into the production part of it a little more, and not allowed myself to be pulled into certain directions. That's, I
Right.
think, the best way to put it.
See, I would have just left to go to Fiji and just
Uh,
built houses in Fiji. That's what I
I,
would have
I,
done.
I think I would have been with you. I love to travel. I do. I've been traveling for a good part of my adult life, and I love
Hmm.
culture. I would have loved to learn more about history. I would have loved to
Hmm.
learn like I do now, but I really wish.
Right.
I mean, I've been in places like Egypt. I've been in places like early on when I wasn't involved in the paranormal, and I'm like, how did I not see this? Why would I not have explored this further, having this incredible experience?
So the part growing up there, did your parents take you traveling? Because my parents did, and you know what? I this is the whole part about this is that I accepted my exploring and adventuring with punishment, and because I allowed myself to stay there, I got to travel a lot of places: Cuba,
Yeah.
Mexico, Florida, all through the States, all through Canada,
Hmm.
and for doing that. And I'm saying like that this is sort of a little bit of a twist on this, anyways, is that did you because I could have ran away and I did run away once and I was pulled back in. And
You
it
always
was
go back home. Yeah.
no, I was pulled in by the ear and a belt, but but
No.
that was
Okay.
it's a totally different thing there. No,
Right.
like guys can take things, whatever, but no, but
Right.
the whole thing is always that when like as a child like your parents take you on trips and stuff like that places you don't want to go sometimes and stuff like
Right.
that and
Right.
but you got the experience. Did your parents take you away to go to experience stuff
Oh
or
yeah.
that was something different for that you did on your own later on when you
No,
left?
no, no. My parents were really great about it. I remember going on a few like road trips and such with them because I had two younger sisters. And I remember going to a place called Mackinac Island in Mackinac,
Okay, like the Clark
Michigan.
Griswolds.
Yeah, right. No, but you know what? It's always a place that stands out more in my mind because it was an incredible location.
Mhm.
And it was an island where no cars were allowed. I think there was an
Right.
ambulance and a fire truck. That was it. And it was super haunted. And now I read all this stuff of how super haunted it was. And I'm like, oh, why
I
didn't I know
was
this
there and I
then?
forgot. Oh, jeez, I didn't
I know.
notice.
I'd go back there in a heartbeat just to investigate it, because you make contacts and such. And so, no,
For
we were
sure.
really,
Yeah.
really fortunate. Our parents were really good about taking us places and allowing us to experience things. I was just always a bit of a black sheep. So I just had my own way of doing things. And it came back and just bit me in the rump a few times.
Yeah. I had the
You know,
same thing there anyways. Like I was the firstborn out of three boys, so I took all the
right.
punishments and all the groundings and all the everything else.
Right.
But thing is was that no, all the experiences like my that I accepted all the abuse that happened. And I've seen abuse. That's actually a bad word. It says I accepted all uh what did we just say? Uh
The experiences.
the
I say go with
experiences
the
to
experiences.
experience something else so that my brothers didn't have to experience what I had to experience, but I got to
Right.
see everything that they got to see.
Mhm.
And I was fortunate enough to go along for other places. And we had great family vacations. We used to go to Tomogamy and that with my the whole dad's side of the family, and all my cousins would come up once a year, and we'd all go fishing and stuff like that. It was such a beautiful time, and I just remember that forever. Like those things are like
We have a
locked in my
beautiful
mind.
country, right? We
Yeah.
have a beautiful country, and if you can get out and explore it. I mean, I've driven from Ontario, to Manitoba, and I thought that was like amazing and had some pretty cool experiences. And I've been through Thunder Bay, just saying, spent
Hmm.
about 4 or 5 days there and thought, great. I think I ended up in a place called the zoo. it's a,
The
it was a
zoo.
club. It was a headbanger place.
Well, okay, how many years ago was it?
It's
Because
a
there was
club.
the
Oh, it was a
okay.
while. It was a while. Let's
Oh,
just say it
there's
was a
the
while.
encounter, the sleeping giant, and the zoo is the way over there in Chippewa, and then you're really off the
Oh, yeah,
road.
no, nothing
So,
like that. I'm sure this was a much more exciting place and lived up to its namesake, so yeah,
yeah,
no, it was a
no,
good
it's
place.
no, but this is one thing there, anyways, is that through your times there of traveling, though, is that do you think that a lot of people should travel more and to go and experience more? Because you're down in that little horseshoe area, Toronto area, where they think that's where all of Canada is.
Mm,
But Canada is so much vaster than
mhm.
going each way. Like as soon as you leave Thunder Bay and you go towards past Kenora, you're in the maritime, or you're in the
Kenora,
you
you
know
breeze through. That's
yeah you
Sasquatch land.
I know you're in you're starting the Manitoba, you're in the prairies, and then you
It's
keep
true.
on, and if you go the other way, Quebec, and then you go to the Maritimes, and
It's true.
it's such a different vast, like you're going through different climate zones.
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
it's wonderful. You can have things. You can spend your money on things. I got a lot of things, and
Yeah.
I love my things. I get rid of a lot of my things because I get bored with them, and they become a very faded memory. But I believe that memories are money well spent. I believe that if you're going to put out a lot of money to do something, choose wisely and buy yourself a memory. Whether you go on a big trip, because I always favor, I've been all over the place, but I tend to favor Europe. I really love it over there. And um, I have wonderful memories. When I sit down and all is quiet in my world, I see so many images of places I've been. And with this whole situation over the last 2 years, I find myself, because I traveled so much, I find myself almost grieving and mourning the simpler times of being able to just get on a plane and travel, or get in a car and travel. I love day trips. God, I love going on a day trip and going antiquing, or just going to see a piece of history somewhere. It's just, you take it for granted, you know?
Yeah, and see, where does that come from?
Other lives. I want to
That's
go back, Del. Look at my surroundings. I want to go back to the 1400s. I don't know,
no, no,
but I
no, but
love it.
that's sort of important because a lot of people don't see that, right? They
Right.
they just live in their. I always say I hate using this word, their bubble and stuff like that, but
Mm,
a lot of people don't. Um, they don't want to step past what they're doing today, and they just want to go back to what they were before they can go back to today again,
yeah.
right? They just want to go forward, back,
They have
and
tunnel vision. That's what I
yeah.
call it, tunnel vision. They don't see
Mhm.
how much more there is all around them.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, I do live, I have relocated to this area, and I love to take drives down along the river. And usually there's so much people in front of it that when everything went quiet a couple of years ago, I was driving along the river, and I'm looking across the river, and I'm going, is that a cave? It's like, I realized there were these little cave entrances all along the way. And I was just like, it's stuff you don't get to see because you have wall to wall people just trying to get a glimpse of the falls, or so I think solitude is really cool. I think the next place I end up is going to be among the forest, the trees, the water, where I'm happy.
I see. I used to do prospecting work there for a friend or friend's father. Anyways, my brother's best friend's father. So
Right,
Copper Quest and stuff like that, all
right.
through Ontario, Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan, and you just notice things when you're in the bush, when you're by yourself,
Sure do.
and
Tree
you got a
tapping.
compass in your hand,
Yeah.
and you got an axe, and you're cutting your line because I was prospecting, cut quarter-mile squares and stuff like that, and then you're what's that? And just you start picking that up day after day, like, is that something else? I had
Right.
a whole, I have a whole story about a bear that came out of the tent, and
Bears.
I walked out as I was coming out of the outhouse, and he was just standing there. He was eating the slot from the
Interesting image you're painting.
yes.
The elephant and the bear. It could lead down so many roads.
Yes, and then it's like, oh, I walked back, grabbed the 348 Winchester, and pulled it up, and the bear looked at me in the eyes and says, "I'm done eating this food," and
We're
boom,
good.
gone.
We're
And
good.
see, this is the thing is that because on my channel there too is also I want to explore cryptids and weird things. I'm into these little people that all the natives have talking around. I've been
Mm,
talking lots about this,
yes.
and and these weird things because I worked in the bush. I haven't seen them, and the thing is, though, is that there's a part about I wasn't looking to see them first in the first place,
Hmm.
but there's so many stories that are out there of things that happen out there, and I was just wondering if the knowledge I have now, going back to when I was 2 years old, going through, how would I have studied myself to go in, find out more research to get to where I am now at 52?
Hmm.
That's the point of this whole show. If like what I know now, if I started back then, where would I have come forward?
I think, the great thing about all of that is it's never too late to apply any of that stuff. I'm living proof of that. I was a lousy student. I hated school with a passion, but
Same here.
I educate myself on a daily basis. I learn something new every single day.
Good
I
job.
appreciate every day. I look forward to the days where I can travel again, um, because no matter what happens, I we say, I wish we could have done this back then and applied this and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But your path may not have gone the way you wanted it to go. I truly believe we choose our paths and we do have free will. And if you still wanted to go, party down over here or over here, you could have just done it as a smarter individual. That's what I said. I could have been smarter when I did that, but you know what? All of the lessons, all of the experiences that we have had that have brought us to this point in our lives essentially is the result of everything we have experienced. Right?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
and with that said, I think your guest is here.
I think we have another one there too.
All right. So
Let's see. We got and actually, thank you very much, there, Michelle. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
All right. Hey, Sean. Bye-bye.
Hey, Michelle. Good to see you.
You too. Have fun.
Thanks.
So, hey, how you doing there? I think we got Joe in the background with his little whatever stickers
Yeah, whatever
going
you
on.
call
there.
it.
I'm here. I'm glad y'all muted me earlier because I had my damn mic on. I know it was open.
Oh, do ya? Okay, so here's the question there, Sean.
Yes,
If
sir.
you could go back to your youth, know what you know now, would you change anything? How would you go and direct your life? And the part about this is being though, is that would you actually change your life because you would miss meeting the road of the people that you met to make your life to go to this point?
That was a good question. When you sent that to me this morning, that's all I did at work all day today was think about it. You know what I mean? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you awesome.
All right. So back in 1983,
Okay.
I was in the service and I was taking a drug called Antabuse, and that's to wean you off alcohol. What happened to me back then was I had it in my system for a year, right? And one day I got depressed and I drank a whole fifth of Jack Daniels, okay? And I literally died, okay? So when I came to, what was crazy is I have no recollection of my childhood. I don't have no recollection of my teenage years. As far as I can go back was when I joined the military when I was 18. And if I could change that, I would be honest with you, would have gone back. I would go on to the Air Force. Okay. I really didn't particularly care for the Navy. But it was a family thing because all my dad, my uncles, and my cousins and all that were in the Navy.
Right.
And I was stationed in.
I'm just going to stop you for 1 second because this goes into the conspiracy theory that I have going on here. Did they at the Army give you drugs there that might have made you think that you forgot your childhood?
I don't know, bud. Maybe they have something going on right now, but for me back then, all I know is that
because you know about the whole conspiracy about the MK Ultra, the Tuskegee, what they did with the Tuskegee people there doing with the syphilis stuff. Their Army going and putting people into drug programs and maybe wiping their minds and stuff like that. And that.
Oh, that's interesting. I never really thought about that.
Because this is all part. It's all part of. It's not actually a conspiracy. This is actually proven fact that they've done things. I'm not sure if it happened to you though, but the U.S. military actually experimented on their soldiers.
Oh wow!
And that's a fact. Mm-hmm. So does the Canadian government there too. They just experiment on us. Period. Right. So.
But all I know is that instead of the Navy, I would have joined the Air Force.
Okay.
And because I'll be honest with you, don't get me wrong, the Navy treated me good, right?
No doubt.
The bad
3 meals a day
on the ship. See, I spent.
Yes, there you go. Hey, I got the same thing in jail too. I went to jail for 4 days, 3 meals a day. and a bed and
Joe
one channel.
yeah. Oh no, we had two. But
Oh, geez, you're better off than I was. Okay.
yeah. But it just seemed like just being out at sea for a long time, you know what I mean? And you come back, and I really wasn't so much a very, top notch sailor. I would say that I would, if I go back and changed anything, I would have changed my attitude toward life, to the service, to my family, to life. That's the one thing. The most important thing is I would have changed my attitude. But Dell, here's the way I look at it, right?
Okay.
Like Michelle was saying, we choose our past. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I look at it like, okay,
Living from through experiences to build you up, right?
right where I'm at now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a reason why, I drank on that antabuse. There was a reason why, I was out at sea. You know what I mean? And what was crazy, that when I came to, that's when I started to see spiritual things like ghosts and stuff, and hearing voices. And for the longest time, it bugged me because I didn't understand why me,
Yeah.
And then finally realized that, hey, you know what? Maybe, God has a path for me to follow. Okay. And trust me, it was a hard path. I mean, I've been sober 31 years now. And doing everything that I do now was what made me what happened to me in the past.
Yeah. I just was looking. It says, I think that might be Joe. Well, we were in the Navy at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's
81,
Joe.
85.
Joe's right up here in the top hand corner. If he's going to chime in, or he's off to the
Yes.
side.
Yeah, I had to find a mute button. No, yeah, we were serving at the same time. Actually, I went in '82 and served until my active duty was '82 through '84, and then I was 4 years reserve after that. But I was a different Navy than you were. First off, I was smart. I joined the 4x10 program because they paid more.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you go in as a reservist and do 2 years, you get extra pay over the regular enlisted people, which pisses them off.
Yeah.
But more than that, I did carrier duty, which
Which
carriers.
one?
I was on a Nimitz.
I was on the USS Independence, buddy.
Oh yeah, you was over on the other side. So on the Nimitz, we had women, about 2,500 of them, which was nice. I didn't have to look at ugly sailors all day long because there's some ugly bastards out there. We had 3 bowling lanes.
Okay,
We had a movie theater.
This is good. This is good that we got Joe on here. So Joe, if you could redo everything that you have with all the knowledge you have right now at 2 years old, would you follow the same path?
The only thing I'd change different in my life is I would invest in Microsoft, Coca-Cola.
Well, besides monetary, that's
all I would do. That's all I would do
because
because
answer.
By doing
That's
that,
a
no, but see,
answer.
by doing that, it changes my entire life.
Yeah, but that's the bullshit answer, though. It says,
no, it's a good answer. That means I would have went to college instead of having to work.
Right. Oh no, I understand.
Navy, that doesn't count.
No, so the whole thing is that was the Navy grant or the government grant there to go into the military service, was that a good deal or was that a sucker deal?
Well, you get military grants, you get military loans. I mean, it wasn't something I was looking for. Now I'll tell you what they do a lot of. So when I was getting ready to get out of active duty, they offered me a $25,000 re-up bonus to sign up for another 4 years.
Not me.
And but I was advanced avionics electronics elite. I was like in the top 10 people in the Navy at the time who did electronics because I had to be. If you want to be anywhere on the Nimitz, I had to be in the reactor room. I had to work in the jets, and I had to be in a conning tower, which means my security clearance was off the charts.
So you
still
were
is.
Important skill in a certain position, right?
Yeah, I was also a plane captain. I was a PC, which means I had control of the deck when I was on the flight deck. Mm-hmm. You see, I'm the boss. I like to be the boss. Even then, I like to be the boss. I can't help myself. So if I was a girl, they would have called me a bossy bitch. But since I'm a guy, they can't.
And this is a person. Okay, and this is the person there that he saw a UFO land on an aircraft carrier.
Sean, you seen a UFO land on an aircraft carrier?
I
Damn.
didn't know.
Well, I wish I'd have met you when we was in the service. We'd gotten all kind of trouble.
Yeah,
Jesus.
you were on the West Coast. I hated San Diego, man. I hated the West
Oh,
Coast.
yeah. You know what? You know how many times I've seen San Diego? One time.
Yeah.
Well, boot camp, and then that was it.
Oh,
After that,
no. That's where I went to. I went to school to be a cook.
Oh man, see, that would have been. You know why I took the West Pack, right? Because I wanted to go to Hawaii. You know how many times I got to go to Hawaii?
None.
You know how many times I've seen Hawaii?
None.
0.
No, I've seen it about 6 times as we went right past it.
Exactly.
Going and coming. I'm like,
as
look
they
at this.
went hula danced to it.
No, I tried for embassy duty. They just kind of laughed at me. They were like, "You crazy? We ain't giving you no
Hey,
embassy."
Joe, are you a shellback?
What's that?
No, I was
You're a
Airedale.
polywalk. You're a
I was an
polywalk.
Airedale, actually.
No. Did you cross the equator?
Oh yes, I did.
All
Like
right,
4 or 5 times. Yeah.
You're a shellback. All right.
Yeah, because and you know your first time. Well, you've crossed, so you know your first time.
Oh yeah, I remember. Del,
that is
I
not right
brought
what they do to us.
Del, it's
Yes.
unbelievable what they do. Read up
Oh, I
on
know
it.
it's insane.
I
It's
know.
insane.
I know what they do through a whole bunch of stuff. I've done hazings. I've done everything through
Oh
different
man,
levels of
this
everything.
was just ridiculously overboard, man. It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it was. Imagine.
My cousin went through a whole bunch. Like what my uncle did to my cousin there one day. He showed up there drunk, and he stripped him down naked in the front yard and sprayed him with a high pressure hose in front.
joy.
And he goes, "This you're never coming drunk back in my
wait,
house
I got a question.
again. I'm gonna
Del,
wash the
I got a
drunk out of
question.
you." And this is in a public place. He wasn't even in the army yet. Just,
Del, I got a question for you. You're Canadian. Amelia, close your ears. Listen. So I'm listening to the radio today, right? La la la. They're talking about Olympics and sports. So they're talking about these guys running in these coal areas. So these 3 Canadian guys were talking about they're running. They had to quit because they're, it's froze. They got
what?
They got frostbite on you. I was like, wait.
Well, you know what?
Oh
what?
man, I couldn't believe that. I was laughing my ass off.
Let me tell you
then
something.
you know what? Because that's all.
I was thinking, how can they be from Canada, man? Canadians
you know
would
what?
make that kind of mistake.
My
Hey,
turn.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I walk outside in my underwear at minus 32,
All right.
and no American can walk out there in their underwear in minus 32.
Well,
I feel no pain.
When we were in the North Atlantic, there's a thing that you go through. It's called blue nose. All right. So you get on the deck.
Well, you get wind chill. That's a different thing, though.
It's like you get on the deck with your tennis shoes, shorts, and a t-shirt, and you got to run the length of the carrier in order to get your blue nose.
That's wind chill you're talking about. Yes.
Whatever. It was freaking cold.
Yeah, the wind's probably blowing 70 knots. The carrier's moving into it at 35 knots. So you got 105 knot collision.
I'll tell you is that you're never in a porno at minus 32. Looking good.
But see, like for me yesterday, it was 82 degrees here yesterday.
We're getting ice tonight. We're at 28.
Now we're going to get a cold front that comes through, but tomorrow it's going to be 50. Woo.
Yeah, you all be like getting your.
And by Mardi Gras Day, it'll be back in the 70s again. So
yeah,
we're headed for spring now. So it's a bitch for us. It's just going to get hotter and hotter. But no, really, that's what I do. I would actually do a lot more investing of things in my life to make it easier on myself.
And you know what, Del, on Joe's topic too, because I got into collecting silver, gold, and that. I wish I look at the price back in 1983 on a gram on an ounce of gold.
See, I would have went different. See, this is what I would have looked at. It says if I would have known now that I did, I would have went into going to skilled trades. I would have been a welder, and I would have just made a lot of money and would have bought property in Fiji.
Property's always good.
Bought property in Fiji away from the Canada and the U.S. and just would have just set up a huge place over there and just kept on building and propagating, built a huge boat. And when this whole sheet storm hits the town like it is right now, when you have a totalitarian government like JT and the Sunshine Band go through stuff, I just would have just Hey, kids, we're heading to the boat, and we're out of here.
Yeah.
We got everything's already hooked up. I already set it up for 20 years. But that's what I would have thought now.
Well,
It's
That's a
52
good idea.
years going to 2, and that's what I just would have set all the way up.
I might have took them years back as a Chippendale, but other than that, I don't know.
Well,
shit. Hey,
you can always pay for a couple more inches.
Thanks, man. No, man, I don't have to worry about them kind of things.
good one, Dell.
What, baby girl? No, things like that I don't have to worry about. Fortunately, I've been lucky. Actually, for me in my life, to be honest, with goofness aside, most of my life I've been. I don't know, it's hard to explain it. So, for every good thing I seem to get, there has to be a bad thing attached to it.
Sure, there is.
I came from a fairly wealthy family. My family still is fairly wealthy, but I'm definitely the black sheep in my family because I can't follow. I'm not good at following in straight lines, and I like being a boss. That makes a problem. But every time I've achieved something great, there always seems to be something else. Most people might see 1 or 2 people die in their life. I'm sitting at like 27 now. And these are all people that were close to me or nearby. In
Right.
1 year, I lost my dad, my great grandfather.
Are you looking
actually
for
2
reparations?
Yeah,
This is a big thing there. Because reparations.
I wish
is a
I
big
could get
thing
some reparations. Maybe Amelia.
I'm AT. My grandmother was Cree. I don't get reparations.
And I'm a quarter Cherokee. I'm an eighth Cherokee. Sorry. Oh, it's interesting. They did offer me when I found out. I actually contacted them just to talk to him. Indian, whatever. So when I talked to him, he said, "Well, how much are you?" I said, "I'm 1/8." He said, "Oh, you're entitled to some of the casino money." I was like, "What?" So there would have been $1,800 a month if I'd have signed up for the program, free, just because I'm 1/8 Cherokee.
Yeah, but see, I have to go. I have to be in a. I have to live at a reserve over from wherever.
Yeah,
I don't
see,
get
I don't
it.
live there. You
See,
can live
there's
anywhere.
Canada. People don't understand. Canada is not. Canada has so many stipulations, and we are heavily taxed. Like,
Are you?
oh, geez. Like I told Joe this before. It says, a 40 ouncer of vodka up here costs $60. Down there costs like 9.
Back in 1988, me and my wife took her right up to Toronto to watch the Penguins play the Maple Leafs, right? We went to the hotel. We got a pitcher of beer and 2 glasses. It was like $24.
God, it was like $2 back then. Jesus.
No, this is up in Toronto, man.
Oh, poor Canadians.
And you know what? Del and Joe? They actually charged us $2 per glass.
Yeah.
Along with the pitcher of beer.
Well, events though. Sometimes when they're events, they up.
Well,
the
there's certain bars that do certain shitty things like that. Like usually you can get like $5 pitchers, whatever. Like you get cheap, crappy ass beer, but it's like it's crazy. Canada is taxed so heavily. When you walk across the street, you're taxed. When you get your paychecks, you're taxed. When you when you open the door, you're taxed. When you go to the hospital, you're taxed. And
we're trying to catch
everybody's
up,
going and says, "Oh, Canada is so great." It says, if you got shot in the stomach, you just go there; they'll fix you. Yeah, but it's all taxpayer money, and everybody else has to pay for that. It's just unbelievable.
You got about 5 minutes. You better let Amelia come up saying hi. She might hurt you.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I heard
Pop her in there. Pop her in there. Where is she?
Oh, yeah, where is she? Hold on. I see her down there giving somebody to look. It ain't me.
Okay.
There
she is.
Hi guys, thanks for having
There
me.
she is, Amelia Pisano.
Hi,
Hey,
Del,
welcome
how are
to
you?
the delicious recipe. Okay,
Thank
here's
you.
the question.
Yes.
If you could go back to your youth, knowing what you know now, where'd you go? Would you do anything different? Maybe learn a different skill, maybe learn an instrument, something different. And how would you go and produce your life forward from then?
That is such a great question. I just want to start by saying thank you for inviting me and including me. I know it's a boys club right now, but this is my element. Thanks, guys. I think I'm one of the rare people that would say I wouldn't change a thing. to be honest. I wouldn't change
Okay.
anything. I love my life. I love where I am. And I think
I
that
think we're simpatico here.
are we, see, it's really important to be happy with what you have, because that's where you find happiness, right? Staying in gratitude. That's how you live in happiness. So for me, and I do suffer with anxiety and depression, but I always think of it could be worse. Things could be different. I'm in a different place. And I try to count my blessings. There was a long time where I didn't do that. Maybe I wish I had started sooner, but I can tell you that everything was a lesson for me. Whether it was bad, I found the silver lining in every death in my family, even though it was so hard to go through. There's always good in everything. You just have to look for it. So I'm a little bit different that way. I don't think I would change anything. You know, I wouldn't be who I am now if I changed anything.
Right. So
Right.
I guess the whole part about this was that if you could have walked away there like at 2 years old, knowing what you know now at 2 years old, how would you have like gone through your life?
That's a whole other story. I don't think I would
Well,
have lived it.
that's what the big question is. Like, if you know
Yeah,
now, and at 2 years old, how would you progress your life forward and gone through things?
I would have been kinder to myself. That I
Okay.
would say I would have been kinder to myself. I think that I still have that element where I'm the hardest on myself out of anyone. There was years where I sang in a band, and my vocal coaches say to me, "You're your worst critic in everything you do," and it clicked. And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's so right in every aspect." I beat
Okay.
myself up more than anyone else can. So that would be it. I would tell people to be kinder to themselves. And I would tell my younger self to be patient and kinder to yourself.
I
Okay.
like
Now
that.
here's a question there too. It says, and this goes from you, Amelia, and also over here to the one on here on this side, or
Sean.
how's this going here? This way.
Sean. Sean.
Sean says, how's this going there? So at 2 years old, if you saw spiritual stuff, and how would have deciphered it at 2 years or 3 years or 5 years old that you could have helped anybody?
Whoa.
Me or Sean? Sean?
Well, you can go
Um,
first, Amelia, or you can
Oh,
go
yeah.
Sean.
thank you, Del. I actually did have my first experience around 2 years old. And at 3, it was a huge vision of someone that I can't say now who it is, because he was a very public figure. But at the time,
Hmm.
he wasn't that big in business. I'll just put it that way, because we were staying at a cottage on a lake one summer. And for the life of me, I cannot.
Hopefully, it's not Justin Trudeau. If you're saying Justin
No,
Trudeau, then I'm gonna
no,
go.
no. But
Okay.
I did meet his father. But anyways,
Okay.
um, I don't. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't. I couldn't help because I was so frightened. I wish that I could have communicated better, because at that age, you really can't communicate. Everything's like a monster
Okay.
to you. But to this day, I can tell you what the inside of that place looks like. And I was only 3. So
wow.
it's just, yeah, because everybody around me, my family is much older. My mom had me at 40. So my brothers are much older than me. So they were already engaged and dating. So they all remember the story. And my sister in laws, they tell me and stuff. And I could tell them exactly what room I was in, where I saw it, and the layout of the home that we were staying in on the lake. So
Wow.
Wow.
I just wish that I could have communicated better. And I wish that my mom would have been a little bit more open with me, because that really shut me down.
Wow. And then, as you're saying that there, Joe changed the background to this whole lake in the forest background.
That's our background
Is
for
that your
Outer
background?
Realm. I think
Okay.
he just got off, and whatever comes on, right?
Okay. But actually, you know what? Actually, I'm 2 minutes over my hour
Uh-oh.
No
anyway.
problem. Thank you for
No
having
problem.
me.
Thank you for
And you
having
know
me,
what?
Dell.
This is so sad that we didn't get in there sooner, anyways, because I love to do this again, and
Yeah.
just to have hosts on here and just talk and just discuss questions and see what their thoughts are.
I
So
would like
I
that.
think we have
That's cool.
Mike Langley's coming up next, anyways. But
Yeah.
just quickly tell them where the rest of you guys are times.
Oh, okay. My shows. I got two shows. I got Chasing Prophecy. It's on Tuesday night, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. And right after that show, I got my own show, Into the Night with Sean Kelly, and that's from 11 p.m. to midnight Tuesday nights Eastern.
Awesome.
Yeah, I am the second half of the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche, and we are on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights right here on this network at 9 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. We're on
Awesome.
tonight.
Awesome. And this is the delicious recipe here from 7 to it's supposed to be 8 o'clock, and we went a little bit over. Anyways, but thank you very much for everybody that was listening, and I enjoy all the comments that were going on there. And I thank all the rest of the hosts that popped in during this hour. And this was sort of a really interesting thing that this is what I woke up from a dream, and I said, let's just go and talk to people and ask them a question, the host on the show. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next week, Thursday at 7 Eastern.
Good night,
Delicious
everybody.
Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here with Otto. Some may
recipe.